Embark on an unexpected journey full of dwarves, spiders, a magic ring, and a dragon in The Hobbit, There and Back Again.
And we have a copy we're giving away on today's video, so keep watching and we'll share with you how you can enter for a chance to win this copy.
Thank you for joining us at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Melissa Delp.
And I'm Kevin Delp. The Hobbit, There and Back Again is a roll and write game for 1 to 4 players that's designed by Reiner Knizia and published by Office Dog. It's a division of Asmodee.
The publisher sent us this copy to review.
In this video, we're going to give a quick overview of the game and then discuss our opinions. The Hobbit, There and Back Again consists of 8 roll and write adventure maps that each take about 30 minutes to play.
Each adventure gives specific details about where to start and how to score points, and what triggers the end of the game. In general, these are some of the things that you'll encounter.
In most adventures, you'll be drafting dice to gain resources or movement paths. You take turns selecting dice until the draft pool is empty, and then the next player re-rolls.
When you select a path die, you have to draw it connected to an approved start space or a path you've already drawn. You can even overlap paths.
Usually you're trying to enter certain spaces to collect rewards, connect to spaces, or surround spaces.
Some spaces reward the first player to complete a task with extra points.
In some adventures, there will be costs or requirements needed to enter certain spaces or complete tasks.
The black D12 can be another hurdle. On some maps, you roll it each round with the regular dice to determine which spaces are negatively affected. Sometimes you can spend a specific resource to ignore the effects.
In 2 adventures, you use the D12 instead of the regular dice. In these, the die roll determines everyone's option. There's no drafting.
Each map has a specific end condition that will immediately trigger the end of the game. Once that condition is met, everyone totals their points. The left page of the book walks you through the scoring. The player with the most points wins.
Now that was a quick overview. We're going to separate this review portion into our 4 C's. Our thoughts about the components, our critiques, our commendations, and finally our conclusions. So let's start with the components. So one of the main components in the game are these player books. There's 4 of them in the box. Overall, I like that they're thick. It is interesting, though, that ours are bowing a little bit. I don't know how that will do over time. It's not bad right now, and they open up fine, but I'm wondering, in a year, what will these look like?
Now they are dry erase, so
Yeah.
It comes with dry erase markers, and so far those have been working really well.
Yeah.
So another thing about the boards is that each adventure page has most of the rules on it and the scoring, so a lot of the information is available to each player, and I really like that the player aids are basically built into the pages that you're using, and 80 to 90% of what you need is already right there.
And I like the books themselves. The artwork's cool. It's different. It's a fun.
It's thematic to
definitely.
the book that Bilbo writes.
Correct, and you're going through the story, which is nice too.
Yeah, talking more about the rules, I thought that the rule book did a really good job. It has the basic rules up at the front, and then it has a 2-page spread for each adventure part. So part 1 has everything that you need to know for that specific adventure if you already know the base mechanics.
And any clarifying stuff that you might
clarifying,
not.
And it's laid out the same way each time. So the information is in the same spot. Mm-hmm. It's very organized, which I really appreciate that I could look to this one page and very quickly get whatever I needed for that specific adventure.
Yeah. Another components in the game are the dice. You have a D12, normal D12. I think what is interesting are the custom 6-sided dice. 3 of them are different paths. Mm-hmm. And they have, 1 or 2 different paths that you can draw. So yeah, lots of different ways that you can draw the paths, which are cool. Of course, sometimes you want the shorter ones, sometimes you want the longer ones, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The other ones are hats, swords, and the bread.
So kind of resource dice.
Yeah, there are more resources. Now, it is interesting. For some of the campaigns, sometimes you're rolling a certain icon, and it actually says, well, use this instead. Like, one of them are the pine cones. It's like, there's not pine cones on these.
Right.
But it's interesting that's like, okay, well, use the bread. When you roll bread, do this instead. So I think that's fine. And I think it works really well, easily understandable. And the tokens, the cardboard tokens, you do have the pine cones that you use in one of the stories when you're throwing them at the wolves. The wargs, sorry. And but the bread and the swords you use a lot in the game. And it's nice that they're nice and thick. And it's not like you're, in a lot of games when you're doing a dry erase, you're writing those resources on your board or something like that. It's nice that there are tokens. I like that. So that you're collecting them and you're using them throughout the game. So, cool. Well, why don't we move on to our critiques?
Okay, so my main critique is that all of the chapters basically have an immediate end trigger. So, in essence, it makes each chapter a race. And my wonderful husband here, when he is playing a race game, that's his goal, to finish first. Even though I want to, it is a competitive game, but I want to, keep gaining things and collecting things, and I'm usually playing the long game, and a little too late, I realize that Kevin is 5 steps away from the end, and I go, oh no, I need to speed up. So there's a race element that I have to think about in each of the games.
I mean, there's a start and there's a finish. What are you supposed to finish? I will say, I think the game mechanics lend more towards my game style. I appreciate that because I, on average, probably have won more games than I've lost games on these.
So Kevin can finish first and still lose depending on how things
Melissa
were
has
collected.
won games that I have finished first. It has happened, not that often. No, I'm kidding. And it is interesting. I think there was one game where I finished first, and you were on really close to winning. If I hadn't ended, then you probably would have won. So, I was planning on that.
Kevin's a good racer.
I'm a good eraser now. I will say, since it is this race mechanic, there's a start and there's a finish. A lot of the chapters feel, maybe if you want to say samey, it might be a word to use, very similar in what you're doing. You're drafting dice and you're basically drawing paths from one end to the other. They all have different themes for different chapters, but it's like, in essence, what are you doing? You're going from start to finish. Now, 2 of the chapters, 4 and 6, just use a D12. It does sort of throw, a little bit difference, and I like that with the more Tetris-y feel to it.
Yeah.
But even those two.
Right. I felt that those 2 chapters felt different than the others, but they were similar to each other.
Yeah. So I would say, just be aware, even though it is 8 different chapters, there is very similar things going on.
Another slight critique, not a big issue or deal, is that the drafting chapters, there's 5 dice, and you're playing 1 to 4 players. So it's not an even draft, but you do draft all the dice. So different people have a different number of dice during that round. And then
1 or 2, you normally.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be a little confusing as to who is supposed to roll the dice for the next round. Because you're kind of, if you're just not thinking, you're like, oh, I rolled last time, the player to my left rolls the next time. But that's not how it works. It's whoever was supposed to draft next and there's no die for that person, that's the person who rolls. That way, people are getting the right amount of dice as the game goes around. It was a small hiccup in one of the games, and I think it was like 6th, 7th, 8th game we had played. We just weren't thinking and realized halfway through, we've just been doing it
or like
clockwise instead of the correct person rolling because we weren't thinking about it properly. We were a little distracted. So that's just a minor critique of something that you have to be careful of and pay attention to, of who is actually supposed to be rolling for the next round.
Our last critique before we get to the things we like, our commendations. The name of the game is The Hobbit, There and Back Again.
This is not a real critique, at least not for me.
Well, your critique was about erasing, so I get to have my own critique and you can have your own critiques. Totally fine. So There and Back Again, it is based off of the story. I will say the climax of the story is, in Dale when they defeat Smaug, which you get in this. But the name is There and Back Again. You get there, but you never get back again in the game.
Kevin needs an additional ninth chapter where you are boringly just walking back to the Shire.
To finish. All you have to do is go from Dale back to the Shire.
Collect your gold from the trolls.
I can actually see it working, a little denouement, you just got a little whoop. It's not the climax, which is okay. Every story has to have a climax, but it doesn't have to be the end. So I'm saying a ninth chapter, maybe an expansion. There you go, Office Dog. Just a small expansion that's like, here's the ninth chapter, so that it completes there and back again.
All right, so let's move into our commendations. One of the things that I really like about this game is that it is not a campaign. It has 8 different chapters, 8 different games, but you don't have to play them in order. You can sit down and just play your favorite adventure maps, so there's no locking you in to have to play it with the same people 8 times or have to play one to unlock something in number 2. They are completely standalone options for your gameplay, so I really enjoyed that out of the game.
I like the flexibility in the game. So you are drafting dice, and sometimes you may not get exactly what you want, or maybe the path that you're collecting is too long, and you're like, I just really want to get to this spot. Well, the game in the rules allows you to actually draw over lines that you've already made so that the die or the path die that you're using is actually the right shape.
Right, because you do have to draw the full shape.
Yeah, you can't be like, I'm just taking the one spot, I don't want to do the other spot. You actually have to draw it all correctly. But that flexibility of drawing the path over what you've already drawn, I think that gives that, a little bit more flexibility. And in the books, there's more flexibility in the way you can use wizard hats. So you're collecting wizard hats throughout the game, and most of the chapters, you can use wizard hats by crossing them off, and they will give you different path tiles, maybe bread, swords, depending on the chapter, what you need. And that gives you more flexibility on what exactly you need. And there's also the burglar option because of the Hobbit.
Bilbo? Yes.
Yeah, Bilbo has the burglar option, and they're basically almost wilds in a sense. They there's only a couple, 2 or 3 of them in a given chapter, but it's basically any die you can pick, and you cross it off and be like, I want to use it for this thing, whatever that thing is.
Right. So if it's a resource I don't want or a path that I really don't want to draw, I can use the limited kind of slots.
But I'm glad it has it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mitigation is always good in these types of games. So I am a big Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fan. So the theme, I would say, is one of the things that I enjoy about the game. And I do think that the different maps play into the theme of that adventure and chapter. There are quotes from the book.
Oh, yeah.
There's the riddles that Gollum gives.
Yes. Can you read one of those riddles there?
Alive without breath, as cold as death, never thirsty, never drinking, all in mail, never clinking.
So it's kind of fun. It has some of the thematic elements to it in the game.
So I enjoyed that aspect of the game, to play through the book and the different adventures. So I thought the theme was integrated well into what you were doing in the different chapters.
Yeah, and the artwork, like I think we mentioned during the component section, I think it's a cool design, cool artwork, and I think it works great for what you're doing in the game. The other thing I like in the game, I actually like the 2 chapters that just use the D12. They're unique. I like the what you're doing in that game, where everyone has to basically use that number, and they're basically using it to the best of their ability. Now, there's a little bit of even mitigation in that, whereas, like, say someone rolls an 8, not everyone has to use the 8 shape. You can actually go lower, which is kind of fun because you're like, oh, should I do the lower ones? Sometimes you're trying to complete columns of the different Tetris shapes in order to complete things. So there's that puzzly nature to it and strategy. Or are you always going to use the highest one? Because usually the higher the number, the more spaces you're able to do, which means you get to finish faster.
For that race aspect of Kevin. Yeah, I really enjoyed those chapters as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that the game is quick. Part of that is the race, and if you're playing with Kevin, it is going to be a quick game.
Definitely be 20-30 minutes.
But it's a nice, I think, weight and time length for a roll and write game. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it's just about the right length.
Cool. Well, let's move on to our conclusions.
Okay, so conclusions. I usually enjoy roll and write games. It's a game mechanic that I like most of them. It's usually going to be a thumbs up for me. And so I was already inclined to like the game because of the mechanic and the theme, two things that I like, and I am very glad that I did enjoy it.
The mechanic and the theme, not just the mechanic and the theme, but the theme and the mechanic actually marry well together.
Right. The different things that you're doing on the adventures feel like it goes with that part of the story. Kevin already mentioned the ones where you're rolling the D12. I enjoyed those chapters. Yep. Everyone kind of doing the same thing. I also thought the chapter, I think it was 5, it has the wargs and the eagles and the pine cones, was interesting and threw in some new mechanics that you had to think about because the eagles are coming this way and you're trying to get the dwarfs into the tree. So you're trying to balance both sides of your board to kind of meet.
Yeah.
And then the last chapter when you're fighting Smog, I thought was interesting, where if you can save the house or if he actually burns down the house.
But then you have to fight Smog too.
Right. And if you roll that die number again on the black die, then you actually fight him on that space. So it was interesting trying to figure out how to get the correct hits on Smog. So
I agree.
Those were a few of my favorite chapters in the book. I think it's pretty welcoming. It starts out easy with the first chapter, very basic, and then ramps up some of the difficulty, but never super difficult.
Yeah, I would put this on a medium weight. Yeah, medium weight, maybe a little
light, like top level of light.
Yeah, for a roll and write game, easy to get into. There's a lot packed into this box, so I think you're gonna have a lot of replayability. We mentioned that a little bit. So solid roll and write game if you like the Lord of the Rings Hobbit theme. I think you should definitely try this one out.
Oh, is it time?
People have been waiting.
So this is a sealed copy that we would like to give away.
Yep.
So what threshold do we need to meet, Kevin?
Let's do if this video reaches 100 likes.
All right. 100 likes. We will give away the game to someone who comments on the video answering one of these two questions.
Okay. Here we
go.
Bum,
Either
bum, bum.
What is your favorite Tolkien, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings themed game?
Okay.
Or, if you don't have one or haven't played any, what type of game, what mechanics would you like to see?
Yeah, so we have a roll and write here.
Yeah, there's roll and write, there's Trick Taker, there's the pandemic style co-op.
Which we've seen.
There's adventure games. What's the next thing that you would like to see with a Lord of the Rings or Hobbit theme? What would excite you in that area?
Well, definitely click that like button now so we can get to 100 likes quickly. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to continue seeing lots of other videos coming out from Tantrum House soon.